Welcome back to the Simplifiers podcast, where we take topics either in business or in life and simplify them. Now, today is my very special guest from my town, Nottingham, England, and he is going to help us break down as solopreneurs and small business owners how to actually market and scale your business. And by the way, not spend thousands and thousands of pounds or dollars to do that. My friend Paul Chapman is here with us today. Paul is a marketing strategist, a best-selling author, international speaker, and the founder of Marketing Jump Leads. He's known for his creativity in delivering ideas and strategies most people never think of. Paul has a track record of helping businesses grow and move forward to deliver the true task of any business: work as a tool and deliver a lifestyle for people who own it. Having spent years running and growing businesses for others, including some of the UK's top entrepreneurs, Paul set up his first business in 2012. Well, hello, Paul. I'd like to welcome you to the Simplifiers podcast.
How are you doing? You all right?
I am very well. Now, Paul, what I have brought you here today is to really talk about creating a marketing strategy as a solopreneur. Can you break that down for us in simple terms? Where do we start? What are the first 5 steps?
Yeah, okay. I mean, we've got a weird time at the moment. Running a business it's never been easier than it is now. The tools we've got, the opportunities, the ability to kind of do what we have to do from kind of like an actual grunt point of view is better than ever been.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is that actually we end up with so many things to do, so many places to put time, energy, money, effort, all the other kind of stuff. It's where do you go first? And I think kind of the downside of what we have at the moment is that we have a lot of people that are, let's say, hiding behind the tech. They are kind of, clacking emails out there. They're pushing out on social media, and they're kind of kidding themselves that they are building a business. Where actually most times they're not. They are just doing stuff. Yeah. And the downside is because we've got so much stuff to do, you can just keep doing it. So I think, this is a great time to run a business because we've got those tools. It is a bad time because we've got too many people doing it. Every market is more crowded than it's ever been.
Yeah.
There are too many marketing guys, too many accountants, too many everything. There's too much noise out there. And similarly, because marketing is easier than it's ever been, cheaper than it's ever been, everybody's doing it. A few years ago, having a downloadable guide was great because it was there and you could put some money into Facebook and you just win. Now everyone has, like every kind of man, dog, plumber, everyone has got that thing. So I think the ability to stand out has got a lot harder, and I think that's where stuff like this becomes really important, because you can actually take that step back, take advice from other people, and think, well, okay, look, this is my starting point.
Yeah. So what kind of businesses do you typically work with where they hire you to come in and do consultancy work for, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have kind of two ends of the business, but in the simplest terms, it's people that are stuck, people that want to move forward, people that want something different to happen. They want the business to grow, but they just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And
so
more
creative
often,
entrepreneurs,
designers,
yeah,
absolutely. There's some just like incredibly talented people like immeasurably more talented than I am, but they're really good at the thing that they do. That's not important in business anymore. Being good at it is kind of no use. You can't be bad at it, but plenty of people are actually. It's not about how good you are at it, it's how good you are at talking about it, how good you are at telling the story there. So a huge amount of creative people, because often, almost by definition, the kind of the cut and the thrust of actually growing a business, that's not their natural space. They are brilliant with design, brilliant with pens, brilliant with thought, kind of stuff that the rest of us dream about being able to do but can't. But often they're the guys that battle most because they're driven by passion.
Yeah.
And they're driven by kind of creativity and skill, and actually turning that into business is difficult. It is very difficult.
Well, before we dive into the nuts and bolts of like how to practically create a marketing strategy, I want to back up a few steps and actually know more about you. So what is your story in business? Like, did you start working for the man first? Then, you started your business in 2012. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
I mean, I work for multiple mans, really.
Any women?
Yeah, probably. It's probably about a 50-50 split, actually, which is kind of neither here nor there. But I kind of normal stuff, really. I had a good time at school and went travelling and went and kind of taught in South Africa for a year or so.
Oh, wow. What did you teach?
Oh, the lot, yeah. I mean, I was at a primary school over there, so everything from kind of maths to Zulu,
Wow.
and it's quite a good basis for a challenging life if you're sitting in front of a class of 13-year-olds that can speak Zulu, knowing full well that I can't speak Zulu,
Wow.
and then trying to teach them that. So that's that kind of grows you up pretty quickly.
Have you always been in marketing as a career path?
Yeah, sort of. On the back of came back, went to university. At university, I was the guy that of all the sports clubs, when we ran out of money, I was the guy they turned to kind of create events to find some money from somewhere. Mm-hmm. Most of that kind of period of my life was really career avoidance. I was doing whatever I could to not really end up with a job. And that kind of ended. I went traveling again. And then you think, well, okay, I've got to do something real. And ended up working for my dad. He was a financial advisor. And I kind of noticed that there was nothing outgoing. There was nothing kind of pushing out. So I almost kind of fell into it that way. And that was it. I did a few years with him. And I went on to Rally Bikes, which is a big Nottingham company, which a lot of people will know. Mm-hmm. I've no idea if they're still there, actually. I don't know. But
I think so, yeah.
But there for a while, and then ended up working for one of the UK's top entrepreneurs, running various different businesses for him. And then on
the marketing side, or running them full stop?
Yeah, well, a bit of both, really. I mean, it was a very, very smart guy called Nigel Bottrell, very, very uncorporate world. So it wasn't really that it was, you were just running this bit. We had a business.
Yeah.
It was our job as a group to grow it.
Do all of it.
Let's grow it.
Yeah.
And that there, and then my little boy came along, 2012, 2013, and it was when Amy was pregnant, my wife was pregnant. You think, well, I want something different. We never kind of particularly wealthy family, but I loved my childhood. I couldn't tell you what my dad earned, but I could tell you that he came to all my sports games, came to my rugby games, that sort of thing. And I thought, well, that's the kind of dad I wanted to be. And at that level, you kind of think, well, I need business ownership, and I'd been itching, and kind of I think the people that I'd been around, the entrepreneur, you see that and you think, I want a piece of this. And I think some people do. I think it's not for everyone. I don't think business ownership, but it can be pretty exciting. So
well, it's a whole different mindset. I mean, I think that's certainly the case. So, what do you think drives you in business and as an entrepreneur?
It's the old cliche. My family. I have no, this may be a bad thing. I've got no passion for a business. I don't dream of running a business.
Yeah.
I don't believe running a business is any more noble than being employed. I don't think it is. There's a different set of challenges.
Yeah.
But I believe it delivers me the lifestyle that I want for me, my boys and my wife. And so it's, if I could find a job that paid me what I want,
and not have to work,
and not have to work, and have all that autonomy, all that choice, then do you know what? I'm all in. I'm all in. So it's, I think it's a bit about what we're talking today. I think too many people forget the point of a business. The point of a business is not to be a business. The point of a business, as the owner, is to deliver a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's the only bit. And if what you're doing isn't doing that, well, that's there. So many. I mean, it's a slight tangent, but so many of the people I meet are, they run a business and they're just kind of miserable and they're whinging. Well, I haven't been on holiday in 6 months. And you think, well, why not? What's the point of running a business? And if that's your measure of it, go and get a job. They will actually pay you to be on holiday. I mean, why? So I think it's...
well, and that's the truth. I mean, I know lots and lots of people who've jumped off the 9 to 5 and then become a boss of their own and then working 80, 90 crazy hours a week. And, you're your own horrible boss.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have to come back to basics and simplify and realize, you set the rules. You're the boss.
Yeah.
You set your times, that you work. You set every part of your company, and that's the beauty of it.
And I think you're right. I think people forget this. Is you get to choose. You get to choose how much you get paid. You get to choose who you work for. You get the whole lot. But it's really hard to see that when you first stop in business because you get that kind of moment. Yeah. And I remember it well. I remember the door shutting. In my old house in Birmingham, and Amy went to work, and the door shut. And I thought, I'm a business owner. I've got literally no money. I've got to get some money. Mortgages and it's a very sort of strange sensation, it's at that point it's then really hard to choose to do different things because you just think you've got money, you've got a checkbook and a pulse. Come on in, let's dance.
Yeah. So let's dive into marketing strategy then. So solopreneurs, people that are a one-man band, they do it all, right?
Yep.
There are only 24 hours in the day unless you've figured out a way to stretch it somehow that I don't know. Please enlighten us. But is there a way, then can you break down the first 5 steps of putting a strategic plan in place? You had mentioned before we got started, setting your why. Tell us about that. Why is that so important as step 1?
So many people fail in business because the thing that they're trying to achieve isn't isn't about something beyond the business, you know, and it is, you know, I need a big business because that allows me to, and it's that kind of thing. And I think, you know, you've got to have that pain of failure. You've got to have that joy of success, and it has to be something above and beyond the business. There's no point me building a massive business if it just swamps my life and doesn't pay me anything. You know, I can think of
selling products that nobody wants.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. You know, I can think of a guy, you know, and I don't know, I've got to be careful, I don't want to say who it is, but, you know, he would earn, he's now got a business with 4 or 5 staff, he would earn more and have so much less stress if he went back to working in his back bedroom. And that's a really good lesson to us, because we all get carried away in this build it, you know.
7 figures.
Yeah.
Yes, do it in 3 weeks or less.
Yeah, I wish I didn't look like that when I did that. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, and it's particularly in my industry as well. You end up with more, bigger. And actually, you know what? I'm happy with less. And actually, what these tools, what allow us to do is actually choose better.
Yeah.
You know, it is, and kind of, you know, right at the start of it, you know, what do I want this business to be? What do I want it to deliver? What do I want to spend my time doing?
Yeah.
If I want to spend my time managing staff, brilliant.
Yeah, and then I think also it's building upon what do I want, but then who do I want to work with? Like, you know, being a visionary and realizing like we talk a lot about ultimate ideal client, like who is that one person, if I could replicate him or her over and over and over again, that I love to work with, like going and visualizing that too, right?
Yeah. And you know, it's really hard to start with that, but work out what you want to be paid.
Yep.
So work out what you want your lifestyle to be.
Yep.
And I think, you know, as a starting point there, you've got to put some numbers on that as well. And that's not what you need, that's what you want. So that is the whole thing. You know, dial in the holidays, dial in the school fees, dial in it all, and then work it back and think, look, how much do I want to work for that?
Yeah, how many hours and how much effort as well.
Yeah, and then, you know, who are the people that are going to pay that? You know, it is genuinely, and I know this from, you know, kind of bitter experience, it is no harder to charge like £100 an hour than it is to charge £1,000 an hour. It just isn't any harder, but what you'll need to do is different, and you'll need different people for it.
Yeah.
And one is no more noble than the others. You know, I've got products that we do at kind of £69 a month, and I've got products that we do at kind of £1,500 a day. And, you know, and it's different stuff. And they are very, very different target markets, but, you know, as a business owner, you get to choose. And that's why, you know, kind of, I suppose, step 1 and 2, or, you know, step 1 is effectively, what do you want? You've got to have that clear picture of what's important, what's the point of you doing this, and then working back into it. And then it is, you know, what's the best thing for me to do for this? Who are the people that are going to pay me that? And then you get to go from there, and you get to think, well, okay, now then, what do I do? How do I find these people? Who are the right sort of people to talk to? And you've got to have that that kind of proper clarity of purpose.
Yeah. So step 3 is then, well, let's back up. Step 2 is who are the people and setting those goals. Step 3 is create a trackable plan. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I think, I've probably glossed over it. You have that initial, what's the point of me? And then you start to think, well, okay, who do I want to work with? Do I want to be charging higher levels? Do I want to be, so is that kind of, you know, what's important? And from there, you then think, well, okay, all of us are only going to need 3 things in business, and you need them in this order. There are the right people to speak to. Yep. So that's not everyone. You know, not everyone will pay me £1,500 a day, which is fine. Probably most people won't. It doesn't matter. But there are enough people that will. So you know, so who are those right people? Then what do I have to tell them? And it's only at that point do you think, well, okay, how do I go about it? You know, because if I'm going to go to the CEO of some of the biggest companies, it's going to have nothing to do with social media. I mean, there are some cool tricks you can do, but that's not the place. I'm into direct mail. I'm into kind of direct approaches. I'm into that kind of world. Whereas if I want to get 1,000 people to pay me £10 a month, well, that is that world. So, you know, you have to have that. Once you've found that right person, once you've kind of got that clear picture of what you want to earn from it, from there, you then start to think, well, okay, who are these people? And you know, and at that point, you can then think, well, okay, these are the ways that I'm going to do it. Yeah. And that's why, you know, having that proper plan, that proper set of action is really, really important. And you know, it's really easy to spend your time just doing stuff and filling your time. Yeah. And if you don't have a proper plan with some real pain behind it, which is your why, it just simply won't happen, you know. So with you and your clients, how do you like to actually tangibly create these plans? Are you using like Google spreadsheets? Are you using a Word doc? Are you using like a Trello or Asana? Like, how are you doing it? Yeah, I'm a very, very simple guy. Yeah. In many respects. But I like simplicity. But yeah, so I mean, you know, there is nothing better In my world, I'm going to meet some people, I'm going to sit, I'm going to talk to them, I'm going to find out, I'm going to go back and write it in the simplest term possible. So, a plan for me has got two parts. You've got the nutshell, which is literally kind of page 2 with a little picture of a nutshell.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going to do. Just make it so simple. Here's the point of what we're trying to get to. And then you've got a plan there. And you keep that plan. It's probably, I suppose, longer than it needs to be. But I need to explain it at every single step of the way so they know what to do. Where it gets difficult is that people have no idea what to do, how to do it, and they just start spending money and And it's so, particularly at the early stages of a business, it's so easy to spend money.
Oh yeah, well, because you're looking for that solution that will ease whatever pain point you've got. So I think a trap that a lot of entrepreneurs fall into is they do fall into the subscriptions of things. They go, well, that bright shiny object will fix that. So there's 50 pounds there. That one will fix that. I'll just go buy this, and then it's like on and on and on. And those subscriptions every month, they add up, and that's where you get stuck in cash flow issues and all of that. Yeah. So back to the 5 steps. So we talked about step 1, set your why. Step 2, figure out who you want to work with and then set those goals. Step 3, creating that trackable plan. Now, step 4, have accountability. Tell me more.
Well, yeah, when you're on your own as a business owner, it's really hard to make good decisions because you spend all your time on your own. I think it's a really isolating place to be because most of the people around you don't know what it's like. I've got some brilliant friends, I've got some great people that are close to me, but unless you run a business, you don't know what it's like to run a business. You don't get all the pressure. I was explaining to a friend of mine the other day who's in a big corporate job, and it's like, well, it's like doing your job and your boss's job.
Yeah.
And your accountant's job. And, it's all those kind of things. And actually, my old boss used to say this, who you hang around with matters a lot. And you need to have a community of people around you to talk to vent at, to get different ideas on, to get feedback from. And I think, genuinely, if I was going to point at one thing that's got me to where I am today, it's having those right people around me, having a good people around me. And I think, they will help you kind of build that, what did I forget on? Step 3, that plan, that actual plan. This is what I'm trying to achieve. These are my set of actions. But you've got to do it. The best plans in the world will fail if you don't turn into it. And that's why a lot of the people we'll do. We'll build a strategic outlook for them, and then I turn up in their office, once a month with a big stick. What's happened here? Why has this not happened? What's worked? What isn't? What's track it all and change again. And you as part of this, you need to break it right down because the problem with goals. His goals are set too far in the future. So someone's like, well, I'm going to earn 100K this year. Let's just make it easy, make it even easier, 120K this year. And, so by January, they're at kind of 6K. And, it's not a problem because I've got 11 months to do this. But actually, I've got 2 months of 6K. And you think, well, okay, I now need like a 14-month year. Now, and this is a problem with it. People kind of set it out. So, look, this is what I earn. But it's so far away.
Right.
So you have to have those, things, and it is in terms of
the touch points, right? In between, right? Not only with peers, people who are like you, think like you, and you can bounce ideas off of, but then also having a coach or a mentor, somebody who's maybe 5 years ahead of you and goes, hey, don't do that. Hey, you're about to hit a pitfall. Like, go this way instead. That can give you a little perspective outside of the muck of it all. Yeah,
I think mentors are brilliant. I would urge anyone to get someone in their corner. They don't even have to be kind of hugely more experienced, kind of 5 years ahead. If you can find that, that's brilliant. Someone that's been through that sort of stuff. But a group of people that are driven like you is massive, absolutely massive, and it helps you. I mean, I spoke to a guy last week, and he's doing something very similar, but at a much different price point, and that's just really useful to kind of come across that kind of thing. Because you said in step 2, it isn't any harder to find someone to pay you grand an hour, £100 an hour. But when you first start out and then you're doing it on your own, you kind of don't have that confidence, and it's really. Again, I'm sort of jumping around, but kind of part of that step 2, go and pick your people. Pick the people that will pay you what you want to be paid because they're out there. You only need to look around. In the room behind us, I bet there are some people with a £10 watch and there are people with a £1,000 watch.
It's true.
And the value is different things, different people.
Yeah. And that's it. If we're going to talk about pricing really quick, I mean, I think the bottom line is the value that they put on your product and or service that you provide. I mean, and that's where you as a business owner and as a marketer, I think, have to be a really strong storyteller to really tell the story behind what it is that you offer and tell the story about you, especially for solopreneurs. When you're the face of your company, you can't hide behind social media. You have to be out there and you have to, be a little bit vulnerable and tell the story of you and your genesis of becoming an entrepreneur and how you came to offer the products and services you put out there, because then it's a real life person doing business with a real life person.
Yeah.
And that's at the core of all business, regardless of what you do. Right?
Yeah, and I think so. As we've got more and more digital, everyone else is trying to run their business digitally.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm now going back into a space that I've probably already always been in I just engineer meetings.
Yeah.
Because the stuff I'm doing is higher ticket stuff, I engineer the meetings. Even the lower ticket stuff, there's a long product life on it. So I keep customers for a long time. So it is worth me engineering the meeting. So the only thing I sell at any point really is coffee. Yeah. Is that I know... Again, this is much for geeks. 7.4 times out of 10, if I sit with someone, I get some business from it. So then I can, again, this is all kind of part of that plan, is that if I need to earn, I really can't do the maths, but I should pretend I could. If I needed 70 clients, I got to sit with 100 people. Yeah. And then I break that back down. This is back into that plan, which is step 3. Okay, what do I need to do to find 100 people? Yeah. Well, okay, I'm going to take 20 from introductions. I'm going to get my guys to do that. I'm going to go in these kind of business rooms. I'm going to find 3 people at that. So I actually... Like a networking event or a conference or whatever. Yeah. I think, and forgive me, I'm going all over the place, but I love this kind of stuff. I think earning money is one of the hardest things to do because it's not a real thing. I can't just earn money. You can only do the steps that take it. And I think where people really battle is when they wake up and just go, I got to earn some money. And that's it. But if I know that actually... I need to sit down with 10 people. Yep. Well, that's dead easy. What do I need to do to sit down with 10? And if you break your day up that way, it becomes less stressful, it becomes more productive, and you're more likely to get there because, a complete focus. Any one of the guys listening to this, if their life depended on them having 10 meetings, they'd go and get 10 meetings because you do the stuff that takes it. And this is where kind of that focus comes in and pulling yourself out of social media and that sort of thing. I don't like to do too many days. This makes me sound a bit weird, but I don't know. We'll edit this bit out. I don't like to do too many days when I'm not earning money, as in kind of new money, kind of bringing new clients in. So, if it gets to a point where I think, I pick up the phone. And I don't need to. Of course, a business always needs to grow, but it's almost good for my psyche as anything else. Pick up the phone and speak. Go direct. Ask people. Look, we've spoken about this thing. Are you in or out? We've got lots of different emails and that sort of thing that can work as well. A brilliant one that I think works pretty much every time is that we will just go to someone that we've had a conversation with and just say, hey, Paul, just checking in. Are you still interested in whatever that thing is? And I don't mind if they say no. That's fine because I go onto another list. I just don't want to put any more effort into them and I don't want to badger them. And it just keeps that relationship going. It's a really nice, almost kind of directly indirect question. So they can't get grumpy about it and it demands a yes or a no answer. So let me ask you and be really clear. Are you asking that question via email? Are you asking that question on a phone call? Like, are you showing up at their front desk at their office? Yes, I just knock on doors. Right. But what works for you? Is it a mix? It's a bit of both. The truth is phone is always going to be better. Yes. Phone is always going to be better because... the point of any bit of marketing is to get a reaction, whatever that reaction is. And if we're all completely honest with ourselves, is someone more likely to react from an email or from a phone call? It's going to be the phone call. It just is. And, we don't like it. And, I'm not talking about cold calling here. That's not what we're into. But somebody who's a warm lead, they already know your voice. They already know your name's going to pop up on their caller ID. They're not going to... Anyone that's listening to this in business now will have a group of people they've had a good conversation with and they're just waiting to buy, hopefully. But we all get really nervous. We don't want to chase them, Well, chase them because if they're not going to do it, they're not going to do it and you've lost nothing. Your worst case scenario on this is someone that wasn't working with you continues to not work with you. So actually, there's no loss here, but you pick up the phone and say, I did this last week and it was good for, a fair few £1,000s for us. And it is... Just pick up the phone and... So, in the day and age of people who hate their phone ringing, like, oh my God, somebody called me on my phone. How dare they, right? Do you ever have those moments of trepidation of like, how do you handle the voicemail, right? Do you get voicemail 9 times out of 10 when you call?
Or do people actually pick
Yeah,
up? Yeah,
most time people pick. You can see my name. No. You know, and a lot of what we do is, you know, I engineer it. If I'm going to do, let's just call it cold calling out to brand new business, I engineer it. So, you know, something lands on their desk, an email. So using things like Soapbox. I don't know if you guys know Soapbox, but Soapbox is a great bit of kit to send videos and emails. You know, I warm up that call, and this is where people get kind of freaked out about cold calling because I think it's, you know, it's so rare that, you know, someone, you know, rings someone completely out the blue and they tell me that I'm a complete idiot. It just doesn't happen. And again, you know, it all needs to be done in the right way. Yeah. But if I'm going to do cold calling like as a proper campaign, I warm up. So by the time I get to the phone, I'm there. Yeah. And
so let's stop before you move on. Tell us a little bit more about Soapbox, and we'll put the link down in the show notes for everybody to check it out as well.
Cool. Yes. I mean, Soapbox, I mean, I'm sure there's loads of that out there. Soapbox is a... I don't know, an app, something from the guys at Wistia. Wistia is, you know, great video platform, and it effectively it'll record your webcam and it'll record your screen, and you know, and you can then edit it afterwards into. So I can kind of have this conversation, then show them something and put it back. But really, it is my face in an email. Talking to them. And
in
actually,
a video.
Yeah.
So very quick, easy. Yeah.
So it doesn't need to be hosted, it doesn't need uploaded. It's, you know, it's all done and kind of really, really simple there. You know, I use it a lot sort of after networking. So if I've met you at networking, what most people do is send you an email the next day. But you've got to remember, since you met me in that room, you've probably met 50 other people. And whilst you might have my card, whether you remember my name, I don't know. You know, but my face in front of you is much more likely to trigger something. And actually, that's the next step. And it is, you know, again, with all this stuff, I'm just trying to sell a coffee. And again, this is where people get freaked out on cold calling because they try and sell. They try and sell. And it's not, you know.
No one likes to be sold to.
Yeah, that's
they
it.
like solutions.
Yeah.
Right?
But then, you know, by the same token, we do it a fair bit where I'll, you know, if there's someone I really want to talk to and can't find any other way of doing it, and I think they'll take the call, I'll find an excuse to call them. Yeah. Because, and as long as you're not like a complete muppet, you're kind of okay. Because if I kind of ring you, so like, hey Mary, how you doing? My name's Paul. I do this, and this for people like this, and this. So, you know, we do a lot of stuff with guys like you. No idea if you're interested. Really, just want to let you know I exist. Are you okay if I send you some stuff? Yeah. It's really hard for someone to get really, really cross about that. Yeah. You know, I got my a very good friend of mine living in Australia, and he went over there to set up a business for a kind of huge corporation, and he basically had a phone and a little black book, and he just rang the heads of these companies and said, look, I'm new, can I come and have a conversation? Yeah. And the business has rocketed because no one else is doing that. Yeah, because
everybody else is too scared.
You know, and that's it. And you know, so much of marketing is, you know, all the old cliches, when everyone else is zigging, you need to zag or whatever nonsense it is. Marketing is just there to create a reaction. Yeah. What is the best thing you guys, anyone watching, what's the best thing you can do to create that reaction? Yeah. You know.
And I think, you know, you and I are very much aligned in this thought process of, you know, I think what happens a lot of times is this such addiction to your phone, you know, and to constantly looking on social media and thinking, oh, well, I've got these things on my list, but I'm just going to look at Facebook really quick. And then you start scrolling. And it's just like junk food for your brain. Yeah. And also, as a business owner, you don't have more than 24 hours in a day, right? So what you find is all that scrolling is wasting time and avoiding things that are actually what I call higher yielding tasks. So picking up the phone and closing the deal is a higher yielding task because it yields a greater return than doing the thing on social media as much.
And you know, that only happens, that's really easy to fix because that only happens because you haven't got step 1 and 2. You haven't got a real driven purpose and you haven't got a plan. Yeah. So you're not working a thing. You know, I mean, I've got a picture, I've got loads of pictures. I have a picture of the boys and Amy above my desk. That's what, you know, everything I do, I've got, you know, we have a great lifestyle, and I plan even greater things. And at that point, because I'm very strange, but because I'm so brutally committed, I can't spend time in there. Right. You know, and actually, even though I'm kind of a normal human being and I love to muck around and kind of, you know, bumble along as much as anyone, because I've got a plan, I know what I'm doing. And, you know, we've just done this big event called Game Changers. We hire a massive room in Nottingham, fill it full of people. That utter and complete focus, again, this would be great advice for you guys. Just complete focus on something helps measurably. Not only does it mean it gets done, but it cuts out all the bumbling around. It cuts out the stuff on Facebook. And, you know, and you create some real pain. You know, we had to, you know, I bought the business recently and I had some pretty big bills to pay. This has to work. Yeah. And on top of that, I've got the big bills and I've got the rest of the year. And it's that
And it forces you to laser focus. You can't waste the time on that. You know, I want to back up really, really, really quick so that we close the loop on our top 5.
Sorry, it's me.
So it's okay, because I really want us to dive into how we can facilitate more in real life connections. So back to our 5 steps. Step 1, set your why. Step 2, figure out your people and set your goals. Step 3, create a trackable plan. Step 4 was have an accountability group of some sort. But now step 5 is measure your progress. Tell us how you measure your own progress.
Yeah, I mean, we've got financial targets every month.
Yep.
But really, it's down to if I meet enough people.
Yeah.
The stuff happens, and
so you know your close rate. You said that you think it's about a 70% close rate. So out of 100 people, you think you will close 70. Is that roughly is your thoughts? So finding out whatever your close rate is really important to track how many leads come in through the door in the last 30 days. How many of those did you close? Some people might be down to 10%, 20% in trying to boost that number, right?
Yeah. We work with a lot of businesses where it's 1 and 2%, but as a £500,000 product, well, that's fine. And again, it's with what I do, it's a pretty easy. You're either in or you're out. But because I'm getting a bit older and a bit wiser, I don't actually get that coffee booked in until I'm pretty sure we're going to get response, which is why all the stuff happens in advance.
Yeah.
Which is why then between us saying let's go for coffee and actually turning up, I send them something. It's not an FAQ, but it's effectively that kind of thing that kind of ticks off. So by the time they get there, they've had some really good stuff from me. They have some credibility. They have some credibility about the thing I sell. Yeah. So actually, while it's not in any way like an order taking exercise, by the time I get there, they're probably in the right kind of place for it. And this is where it's so important to have that plan. This is where you kind of this thing and have proper campaigns. What most people do will just kind of muck around a bit on social media, or they'll send a direct mail piece and do nothing about it. Yeah. The only way that we can market now is to have proper campaigns. That doesn't mean it needs to be hugely complicated. But I've just been sat with a guy. I said, "Oh well, I did some direct mail and it never worked." He said, "But you sent one letter. Our direct mail pieces are only ever there to make it easier in the follow-up stages. The money's not at the direct mail. The money is in the follow-up and the phone calls and the email and the Soapbox, and that's where the cash comes in." Yeah.
But all the touch points.
Yeah, you've got to have something that stops people in their tracks. Yeah. Whether it is cool video, whether it is great, subject line, whether it is direct mail piece. There's as I said at the start, there's too many people doing too many things. So something has to happen to kind of break that loop.
So one thing that I know about you is true is that you've worked with some other clients and helped them strategize on an interesting and thoughtful direct mail campaign for them. And when we say direct mail, something that is physical, that gets sent to their office, that makes that client memorable in their mind. So what are things that you're seeing is working for some of your clients? Can you give us a couple examples?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this is knowing your value of the customer, knowing your lifetime value as well. Yep. What we find is most people are trying to spend as little as possible to get the client, which I think is crazy because everybody's trying to do that. Everybody's trying to buy business for free. Yeah. I'm going to blast a load of emails out, come back in. Whereas the smart people are trying to spend as much as they can to get that client. And you can only do that if you know what your lifetime value is worth. But they are trying to spend as much as they can to get that because you can do some pretty amazing things for like £5 that will really stand out. Yeah. We did some boxes recently. In the box there was normal stuff, case studies, testimonials, introduction letter. But a little postcard with tiny text and a magnifying glass stuck to it. And we talked about how the devil was in the detail and da-da-da-da. Now, I can guarantee everyone that we're sending those to has not had one of those today, probably ever. So actually then when I do then start to follow up, I'm following up a thing. We're not saying this, but did you get the box? Yeah. No, but they'll have seen it. It's almost like marketing by osmosis. We've got to have that first thing that stops them. Yeah. And I think, that's where too many people are going wrong. And it's, particularly, solo guys, when they're on their own and cash is always kind of a bit kind of, closer. You got a tight handle on it. And again, as a complete side, when you are looking to work for people, it's sometimes worth thinking about people who aren't tied to the money. It is way easier for me to get a marketing manager to pay me 10 grand than it is a business owner to get me paid 10 grand because it's not their money. Anyway, that's kind of a real part of it. And I think, the more you can spend both in energy and kind of cash to get a customer, the more likely you are to get them.
So when you're building these boxes or ideas for boxes for clients, whatever the thing is in the box, are you, finding it wholesale here locally? You trying to use local materials? Like what's working practically for you?
It's a bit of thought, Oh God, I can hear every other marketer kind of hating me now, but it kind of doesn't matter what you send, as long as it stops them.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you
catches their eye.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that the times we've sent chocolate out have had a meaningfully better response rate from the time we've spent a magnifying glass out, because it's different for different markets.
Yeah.
Ideally, what you're sending out fits into the story you're trying to tell.
Yeah.
But something has to happen to stop them, and it's not always about direct mail. It's about the other stuff. If your target market is kind of small local business stuff, well, go and get yourself on stage. That's kind of that initial kind of shock and awe first step. Why should they listen? If you're the guy that's been on stage, we use the book. We wrote a bestseller. I don't know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Kind of, blimey, okay, I'm getting old. That helps. Being the guy that wrote the book is kind of the same concept as
seen as a thought leader.
Yeah. It's there, and it doesn't really matter what you send. It can be coloured envelopes. It can just be, if you thinking you've got all your you've got your inbox open, you've got all your thousands of emails a day. If there's an email comes in that says, a quick video for you, Paul, well, that probably for some industries is enough to get them to at least click and open it, which is step one. Someone's face in there, and then holding, with a sign that, I don't know, that says, quick message for you, Paul, or a thought for you.
Yeah.
I can send this to cold traffic. I can send this to cold people that have never heard of me.
Yeah.
Because it's likely to get seen.
Yeah, and I think that's the clever bit about it. That is the little detail in what you just said. Is when you send those individualized videos, holding up a Post-it note that says, "Hey, this is a message for you, Paul." Like having their name. It's like, oh, this isn't just some random video that she's sending to thousands and thousands of people. This is one video she made just for me. I'm going to click on that. I want to see what that's all about. And that's it. It's the thoughtful details that really count.
Yeah, and this is where I think we're in kind of step 5 or step 7 or wherever we are. That I can now track that. So anyone that has watched that video,
you can see the analytics behind it.
I can see the analytics.
Click through.
I look at who's opening, I look at who's watching, I look at how many times, all those kind of stuff. And if I look into my CRM and see that someone's opened this email like 12 times, well, I'm going to get on the phone.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to, then they're going to get the video stuff. But, I think that's the other thing. People sort of, this is why kind of having a campaign is so important, because everyone is sort of blasting out without any thought. Okay, look, these 20 people, they're the ones that have opened it the most. Let's do something with them. Let's push them down the line. Let's give them a little way to win. Let's,
invite them to coffee. And that's the whole big thing for you. I mean, you work with a lot of local businesses, and in your what you do, it's using social media. It's not like you're not on social media. I see you there, but you're using it strategically. You're using it effectively, and then facilitating those in real life conversations, right? That's the end goal. Right?
And that's exactly, I'm a big fan of the tech. I think, it has saved us hours, it has saved us pounds and that sort of thing. But, and again, it depends on the business. But for me, anytime I can engineer a face-to-face meeting, I will do that.
Yeah.
And tech is brilliant in that, and tech is great in the follow-up from that.
So to the person that is watching this or listening to this and going, yeah, Paul, that's great. You seem like a very charming guy, but I'm an introvert, or I'm British and I'm not very good at making conversations with people. What do you say to that person?
Well,
get over it.
Well, yeah, basically, suck it up. I mean, it's a lot of the stuff, I didn't enjoy picking up the phone, because I'm very British. There's a lot of tweak going on, but right back to step 1. Amy's, Jack's, William, their life is way more important than my discomfort. Yeah, and this is why right at something you've got to dial in some pain. I think it's a great example of a really good friend of mine. Runs a big business, and he, was always kind of bumbling along, and he'd never kind of got where he really wanted to get to, and he'd always kind of said to the kids, "Oh, we'll do this, we'll do that," and it just not in a kind of an obvious way for them, but it didn't quite happen. And him and I were chatting. I said, "Look, you've got to. Something has to happen for you to take it to the next level." And we chatted about it. So actually, it was like January the 1st. It was after Christmas. He went out and he booked like a 25 grand holiday. Booked it, paid the deposit, went home that day, gave the kids the brochures. Put it on the calendar, big red circle, told him all about it, gave him the spending money. Now, at that point, he can't not do it.
Yeah, he's got to do it.
Yeah, and this is it. And you have to dial in this pain. And this is why people who run businesses for the sake of running a business, I think, always struggle, because it's got to be important beyond that.
Yeah.
And I think, once you've got that, well, it doesn't matter if I hate doing it. that's there. You know, I do quite a lot of networking. You know, partly I enjoy it, partly I don't. That's where the business is, you know.
Yeah, it's part of it.
One guy I used to work with, you know, weirdly just hated being on stage. He was brilliant at it, but hated it. And he was like a bear with like a proper sore hung over head beforehand. But that's what he needed to do to grow the business. So that's what he did. Yeah, and he was brilliant. And, you know, to the rest of the world, just like, God, this guy's a natural. But he hated it.
Yeah.
And this is it. You know, if your why is powerful enough, you do the stuff. And, you know, that's the thing that, you know, it's not, God, I'm like a billion times far from perfect. And we all have those days, but I'm brutally serious. This business has to deliver. And as such, you kind of get over it. And, you know, there are some things you can do. You know, there are, I know one guy that pays someone else to pretend to be part of his business to go out networking because he knows face-to-face is the best thing. He's not very good at it. Well, look, fine. You know, get over it. There's a load of things I'm not very good at. And again, you know, I talk about this if we have kind of, you know, hours and hours. One of the big things that most solo entrepreneurs don't do but should do is outsource stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff that I'm good at is like, I mean, this tiny amounts. Therefore, any time I'm sort of spent outside of that, it's kind of a waste of time, energy, and effort and money. And, you know,
I'm a big believer in that. Yeah. Finding those virtual assistants, finding contractors or freelancers that will help pull kind of tap into the different parts of your business. And I'm also a big believer, even if you're a solopreneur, you should have an org chart. I mean, you are still a business. You need to think about the different divisions, where your weaknesses are, and start finding those people that are going to help you. Even if it's micro, 5 hours a month, you know, those bits and pieces help tremendously in your growth and scaling. So what you said there was reminded me to mention a book I'm reading right now by Daniel Pink is To Sell is Human. And it's excellent because it reminds you that no matter what job you have, either working in a corporate 9-to-5 or as in your own business, everyone is in sales. Everyone is in sales. And so it's a fascinating book for people that are listening to check out because, you know, if you think you're not in sales, spoiler alert, you are. Yeah. Because, you know, even if you're not doing direct sales necessarily, you still need to influence people to do things and push the needle and, you know, the ball down the path. So, yeah, definitely a great book to look at. Oh. Yeah. So sadly, we have to wrap up, but I have some questions that I like to ask everybody when they come onto the podcast. And I think you've given us lots and lots of good stuff to really consider and thinking about putting our marketing strategy together. But before I go into that, let's talk really quick and go back because you touched on it. And I really want to make sure we drive the point home. The differences between selling a high ticket item versus a low ticket item. Do you find that your lower priced like products and services are harder to sell than your higher priced things?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's
and again,
behind that? Why is that?
Well, you know, lots of things really. I mean, I think, you know, it's important to point out it's not all about charging higher prices. You know, there are lots. It's not about just raising your rates. No. You know, and you know, we have to be careful that, you know, it isn't any cooler, any more noble, any better to charge that. But you know, I look at the lifestyle I want. I look at the time I have available. You know, I do all the kids stuff morning and night, so I'm kind of full-time dad as well, which cuts my day down. So for me to earn what I want to earn, I'm kind of forced into that world. And I think, you know, this is, you know, a big lesson. This is where I definitely got it wrong when I first started because it was easy. I felt confident going to the lower end. And there's nothing wrong. And I don't like to say the lower end because that's really unfair because everyone at kind of different stages, everyone wants to pay different things. But, you know, a big thing I've learned is that people will pay whatever you want to pay if it's valuable for them. This is where, you know, again, we talked a bit about it. You know, you don't set your prices on the cost of what you're doing. You set your price on the value that it delivers.
Yes.
You know, if I'm doing, you know, a thing that's going to help someone get some funding at, you know, 20 million quid. Yeah. Well, look, you know, I shouldn't be charging like, 20 quid, you know, and it is there. Yes. And I think, you know, the truth is it isn't any harder to sell at any level. You just need different people and you need to do different things. Mm-hmm. You know, you need to look different. You know, you need to be more than ever. You need to, when people look at you, so, you know, they'll have a conversation with me, they'll go away and they'll look at stuff. Whatever they look for has to be right for them.
Right. It has to deliver value. It has to deliver results. They also have to trust you. There's the whole know, like, and trust bit. And I also dare say that, and I know this is going to sound horrible, but people make snap judgments on you very, very fast on how you dress, how you speak, how you show up in the world, but then also how your website looks, how, the things that you put out there. So, if you're going to hit a high ticket audience or luxury clientele, kind of have to step up the game as well a bit, right?
You need to look right for your market.
Right.
I can think of a financial advisor, not a million miles away from me. He purports to work with high net worth clients, but I don't know the right, most respectful way to say it. Everything about him looks cheap, and his website doesn't look very good, and how he dresses doesn't look good. And, he's not, I'm not a car man at all. They just annoy me. But if he's driving around in, a battered old, Vauxhall Nova, I don't know, lovely cars, whatever.
That's my car.
Is
No,
it?
I'm just kidding.
That's awkward. That's awkward. Lovely cars, strong, sturdy.
Just kidding.
He's the guy that's saying, hey, Mr. Millionaire guy, I can manage your wealth. Yet everything I'm looking at, well, there's no proof of that.
Exactly.
And I think that's the thing. It's not just about thinking, well, okay, Paul said we're going to charge, triple the amount. It's not just that. You can. But when they look, is it right for them? Are the testimonials from the right sort of people? Is the service right for people? We do some mastermind stuff where, we take people away to like castles and chalets and that sort of thing, and chateaus in France. We've got that coming up later in the year, and I can charge higher for that because it all fits. I can't charge 25 grand and then stick someone in a
Premier Inn.
Yeah, I was going to say Premier Inn.
Yes.
Other hotels are available. I don't know.
That would be
Lower
the
Premier Inn.
equivalent
I don't know.
of a Motel 6 in the U.S.
Yeah, and again, one is no better than the other.
Yes.
But the biggest thing that I wish I'd known when I first started is that you can charge whatever you want.
Yes.
And if you deliver value to that person, they'll pay it.
That's the end of the day. So, Paul, tell me, what's maybe one book or blog you're reading right now that is either inspiring you a lot or maybe even poking at you and challenging you a bit?
I've just finished again The One Thing by Gary Keller, Jay Papasan. Mm-hmm. It's good. I mean, it is. It's probably its third reading, and it's a proper head slapper. It's you literally could probably read the first 20 pages and just think, and it's all about what is the thing you should be doing in your business. What is the one thing above all else that you can do to give Amy, Jack, William that world. And it is. And I'm reading it was a real kind of head slap moment, and I changed completely what I did. I spend most of my time out meeting people now because that beyond everything, that's the stuff that drives the income, and
that makes you memorable too, because very few people, I think, remember to do that bit thing. So I mean, that is your one thing as well, is to really remember those in real life connections.
Yeah, absolutely. There is nothing as important to my business, may just be my business, than going out and meeting people. Yep. You got to be careful because there are loads and loads of times to meet people. But if I think my people, the people I want to work with, are in a room, I'll engineer a way to get there, or I'll do what I've done with Game Changers. I will put them in that room. Yeah. Because this is kind of where you get into the whole strategic look at it and think, well, okay, the people I want, how do I get them? Well, I either find where they are, or I put them together, and that event is solely as it's a revenue generator, but it's a driver into a part of the business. Yeah. So to translate that to other markets, if there's a wedding planner that's listening here, hey, what if you engineered a one-day workshop or half-day workshop that are just for newly engaged couples, and you did a whole series of talks on here are the first steps in planning your wedding, and guess who looks like the expert in the room? It's you, the one that put the whole event together. So, I mean, what you're saying here translates to so many different industries, and it's not just in marketing. It could be anything. Yeah. So what's maybe, you talked about Soapbox, which I love that. We're definitely going to put the link down below. But what's another good app or tool that you're using right now that helps you simplify? A good CRM system. So a good way of seeing who's got what email, who's opening what. Yeah. What are you using right now? So I use Infusionsoft. Yeah. It's a great system. In respect to Infusionsoft, guys, it's probably more in depth than most people need. We build lots of campaigns, and we use things like ClickFunnels, which are like our landing page software that kind of takes it in there. But it doesn't really matter what too many businesses couldn't easily sell something today. If I had to, I could go outside now, write an email to people that I know are interested in what I do, and there's a chance some of them might buy. Whereas most people think, well, I can't get to 2,000, 3,000 people en masse. I can't do it. And, it's a blindingly obvious one, but I think still businesses don't have it. And, you need to have a really simple way of getting activity out there.
Tracking it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Paul, who's maybe one person in your circle or community network that you think I should have on the Simplifiers podcast? They don't have to be local. They could be anywhere in the world. That would be great for me to interview that could really simplify things, and why? Who do you recommend?
Lots of good people. Guys locally, like Tim Elliott, really, really smart strategy guy. He's a good guy. Someone like Vicky Taylor, who was on the social side of thing. I think a guy that I like and I follow and I just love what he does and how he does it is Chris Marr at the Content Marketing Academy. He's a Scottish guy, but just really good guy. He came to speak at our event last year. Just good guy, like what he does, like how he does it, like how he treats his people as well.
Great.
Yeah, he'd be a good guy to chat to.
Excellent. Well, we'll put Chris on the list to reach out to him. I am a firm believer that gratitude and simplicity, they go hand in hand. Tell me, what is one thing you're super grateful for right now in your life?
I got a lot of good stuff going on. I think, family is amazing. I think the ability. Someone once asked me what my superpower. If I had a superpower,
yes.
what would that be? And I think my business superpower, kind of in this scenario, I want to be driven, but not at the detriment of living in the now.
Yeah.
Which is I think particularly last year, I'll be honest, I held on too tight. I think the business just started to crunch me a little bit, and I wasn't enjoying it. It wasn't achieving, and I think I got a really timely reminder. Kind of sat on the beach with my wife, and it was kind of like, why am I doing this? And I think that's what I'm really grateful. Kind of have those people around you that do it, but the ability therefore to step back and just think. Yeah, remember where, and again, dare I say, this is why it's good to have people around you to kind of say, look, come on, mate, what are you doing this for? What is the point of it?
Yeah.
And I think it is that ability to breathe, but actually kind of, because it's so easy to build a business that you don't want.
Yeah.
And like you think you said at the start,
So
you end up with like a badly paid hobby, and it's rubbish and it's hard, and we've all been there. And, the good news is if anyone is sort of feeling that at the moment, it's pretty easy to get out of it. You just make a change.
Yeah.
You just make a change.
Make a pivot.
And
Yeah. So before we end up on the last question, I want to make sure people can find you online. So you have a book called The Game Changers.
I do.
Would you be willing to give this to people for free?
I would have thought so, yes. Now you've asked me directly, I can't say no. Yeah, of course, yeah.
So what website or what link should we send them to?
Yeah, I mean, there's two options. If you go to marketingjumplies.com, you can download it there. Mm-hmm. You can also go to another one, which I can't remember. I think it's
marketingjumplies.info?
Yeah, marketingjumplies.info / get the book. Is it get the book?
Yes, we'll put all that down in the show
so that
notes.
one, I think, although weirdly, I think there's a small charge on that, but you get a lot more free stuff on the back end. So whatever people like, that will kind of, we've got a big library of courses as well that kind of gets people in there. But yeah, if you just fancy a copy of the book and kind of not bother about the stuff, go to jumplies.com, marketingjumplies.com. And you can grab a copy for free there.
Excellent. So you guys can check out the Game Changers book. Highly recommend. It's always nice to read other stories from real life entrepreneurs that are, doing it. Not have to be huge, but they're just learning and they're doing it. They're doing the thing in their sector, and that's where you learn the most is learning from others' successes as well as their failures. And you're also online, even though you're more having coffee with people. Where can people find you online?
Obviously, marketingjumplies.com is the best place to go.
Yep.
Paul Chapman is probably the best place on Facebook.
Okay, so the Paul Chapman?
Yeah, the Paul Chapman. So Facebook / the Paul Chapman. Mm-hmm. But generally, if I can be of use in any way to any people, hit me up via the website and let's have a conversation, have a chat.
Yeah, excellent. So Paul, people have been listening to this podcast and inspired. And they're like, oh, well, maybe this is possible. Maybe I could put together a marketing strategy plan, and feeling a little bit of it, but they're also feeling a little bit nervous. What would be one thing you would whisper into her ear just to encourage her right now?
It's really difficult to fail because most of us in this startup, we're too small for the world to be bothered about. So actually, you can do a business, you can shut it down the next day, you can go again. And I think I think the first thing you got to, do you really want to run a business? Because it's hard work, and it is effort, and it's graft, and you get you get less downtime. There's a lot more, perhaps different stress. And, I don't think it's any more noble, but, it is, be really honest with yourself. Do you really want it?
Yeah.
But if you do, spend time with the right people, think more than you would, think deeply. What do you want it to do? Who do you want to earn that? But make it happen. The marketing jump leads, our motto has been, rewards are for those that take action. And it's that, most of the stuff we do doesn't work. Out of 10 things, 2 will work. But then we've got 2 things that work, so we'll do another 10 things.
Yeah.
And it's simply just keep doing the stuff. Have that plan, learn from other people, have the plan, but just, see it through rather than sort of dabble in it. And because I'd rather do it, find out it doesn't work, I can shelve it and do something else. Whereas what most people do will kind of half do it, and they'll never really know if it works or not.
So bottom line, Paul Chapman says, do the thing.
Do the thing.
Do the thing. Paul Chapman of Marketing Jump Leads, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.